Yeah, just take it in for a second. Been a while. We haven't actually streamed Mass Effect for quite some time. It has been 8 years. I'm trying to look for an exact timestamp, but of course it's not telling me for some reason. I didn't even have a green screen. That's how far back it was. I didn't even have a green screen when we streamed Mass Effect. How's that for weird, right? Because since then, we have since gotten and then gotten rid of the green screen. Ladies and gentlemen, we have never reviewed Mass Effect. So let's go ahead and let's do that. But before we go any further, I do want to just say a very brief thing. Obviously, Mass Effect has, you know, is a great game. It's got some awesome stuff, and I've told you all the stories. I've told you all the stories, right? I just wanted to think about it because I was telling my dad and his wife this while they were visiting. It's interesting how much of an impact Mass Effect has had on me personally, whether I wanted to or not. Because without this game, I quite literally would not have a career. It's weird to think about. I mean, that's how that always works. We get lucky, right? Doesn't matter how... I know this sounds strange. It doesn't matter how much work you put into it. It doesn't matter how dedicated or you know, talented or whatever else you are. Without that extra little spice of luck into the mix, you're never going to get anywhere. I got really lucky with the Mass Effect 3 ending. Here I am. It's weird to think about. I do want to say shoutouts and thank yous to some people who don't even watch me anymore. Taitu, who put this on the list. Max Z, Zopher, Churgy0172, Zonashi, Sean, Captain Vice, Cord, Galtori, Candyman1990, Ryman6000, P. Watson Wales, Loopy Cutie, Tonic the Dog Tour, Nami, Sakage, Space Pagan, Catalin Cormendi, Shishki, Maze W88, Jesse's Mask, White Claudia MK, Tyron 1986, I'm not even sure what that is, Ciela, Command and Conquer 2, Gnome Saiyan, Tizara, Ankros, Slim Jim Reborn, S Diesel, Spartan, and Nithrius. Thank you, all of you, for your support, making this sucker happen. I should probably mention something here really quick. Nowadays, we like to do things in blocks, and that's been our standard policy for about a year or two. I'd say about 2 years, give or take. But we didn't start doing that back then. So this is just the funding for Mass Effect 1. And in fact, it was in the queue before Mass Effect 2 got funded, and then Mass Effect 2 got funded. I was like, you know, why don't we just wait and get 3 funded and then do it as a block? And then, and now here we are. Also, as a personal aside, I know that we were technically done with the queue before Tor, but that's not actually true. In every way that matters, getting through the backlog of the queue wasn't concluded until the end of Tor, aka earlier today. So now, no asterisks, no maybes or whatsits or whatever. We have actually gotten caught up on the queue, finally. Now, I know several people have lots of questions. I'm going to ask you to be patient. I'm going to just ignore all of the questions. We've actually already kind of decided quite a few factoids about how we're going to be playing through this. But I will give you a summary right now. We're going to be playing this different than we normally do, pretty much across the board, in order to try and vary it up, see a few things that we normally don't see on camera. We will be taking into account things we know. For example, I could literally just start right now the review of Mass Effect 1 by giving 3 pluses to Jennifer Hale's voice acting. Which I'm going to do, by the way, so let's just do that right now. Whoops. We got a couple new systems in place for this kind of thing. So if it's not obvious, we will be playing as Mark. Now, I don't know if he re-recorded his lines for the Legendary Edition. I have no information on that. But some of you are probably wondering, Lord, why have you never actually done a playthrough as Mark? Now, let's be very clear. Mark Muir is actually an extremely talented actor. He has been unfairly slandered several times because of his terrible performance in this game. And let's be very clear about it is legitimately a terrible performance. We'll see how many negatives it is. But for those of you not familiar with it, what I ended up doing back in the day was I played Male Shepherd. So, alright, let's do it. I got to the Citadel and immediately turned around and said, okay, this is terrible. This voice actor is awful. Swapped it around and immediately started going ahead and playing as Jennifer Hale instead, and it was much better. So, there you go. Just thought I'd share why I've never actually completed a male playthrough. Thank you, Sierra Mike. I understand and hope you can get settled soon. Oh, Jesus Christ. Of course, everyone's donating. Hang on. Oh, my God. Oh, I've heard him in cutscenes in 2 and 3. He's much better. Because he's Mark Muir. He is a good actor. That's how that is. Thank you, Tokyo Vampire. I will put that towards Yakuza Kiwami, too. No, I know exactly what it was, Mr. Red. Anybody in chat, tell Mr. Red why Mark Muir's performance was terrible in this game. Thank you, Zeiss. I will jot that down for Horizon Horrible Death. And thank you, Ranzada. I will put that towards the Zelda block. It's not even really technically bad direction. He was given the absolutely correct direction. The direction was, do placeholder lines. So he did. Yeah, I've seen him talk about how much he wants to redo Mass Effect 1's performance. But anyways. Alright. God damn it. Thank you, Candyman. Kinda, yeah, Mike Romano. StarCraft. You got it. That's a good question. Can we mute the game here? Look, we can mute the game. I've never been so happy to mute the game. Did you know Lotro doesn't allow you to do universal hotkeys as well? Discovered that just yesterday. Anyways. Alright, so obviously Mass Effect games are games about choices, and there's quite a few choices we are not making. The good news is I'm actually pretty familiar with the Mass Effect series. I know. Shocking. I know, right, Plutonia? It's great. So that means we're going to be kind of acknowledging and mentioning certain things and reviewing things that we're not showing on camera, right? It's one of the benefits of having a familiarity with a game I'm reviewing. I can do a better review simply because I'm more familiar with it, rather than, you know, having to play through the game 8 or 15 or 32 times on camera. That goes for classes as well. Now, I honestly don't think that's really going to matter in Mass Effect 1, to be blunt. But by the time we get to Mass Effect 2 and 3, that's going to be substantially more relevant. I have played as full Vanguard, I have played as Soldier, and a couple other classes. But there is a class that I've never played in 1 or 2 that I will be playing this time around. Also, romances. We've already decided who we're romancing. I'll let you guess. I'm not going to tell you. But this also means we can talk about some of the romance options that exist that we will not be picking. So, you know, woo. I believe that's everything, so let's do this.
Welcome to Alliance Military Database. Classified information requested. Establishing secure connection.
No, we're totally romancing Tali.
Secure connection confirmed.
There's Jane, and there's John, and both of them suck!
Please log in to access your profile.
Let's call ourselves... Bob. No, there's only one person this person could be. This is actually my personal favorite tea flavor. It's the super spicy mix I've told you about. Takuvma! Oh my god, no! I'm not calling myself Takuvma. Branix is from Fallout, which is technically... It's an extant thing, don't worry about it. However, someone mentioned something about the music. Let's go ahead and give a music plus, just a generic music plus, right now. One of the things, if I could pause for a second, one of the things that I really love about the music of Mass Effect 1 specifically, none of the other ones, just 1, is that it has a really unique tone to it. It's like a combination of 80s synth and orchestral. If I actually sat down and analyzed it, I could probably do a better job of it. But you know what I mean, right? It's got its own very particular vibe. 2 and 3 don't really have the same style of music, but 1 is its own thing. And I've never gotten tired of Mass Effect 1's music, ironically. It's wonderful background music. I've actually used it in the Tor run, but also in things like STL and just, you know, when I'm working or whatever. So, plus to music, right off the bat. Are we 100%ing? Well, I think you know the answer to that, Ross, because you've probably watched me review a game before.
Warning, data corruption detected. Please reconstruct profile. Confirm pre-service history.
So, none of these matter, of course, but what does matter is Larian. Thank you, Larian, very much. I will go ahead and jot those down for Horizon Forbidden West. Hang on. And here's these options that don't matter. We actually talked about how these options don't matter literally today. And thank you, Blow Up Alex. Much appreciate as always. I will jot that down. The Trails in the Skyblock. Thank you. So, we literally just talked about this a few hours ago, but to refresh this super quick, what they did, and I agree with this, I should probably mention, what they did was they decided that your past is pretty static. It is your present that you decide. To explain what I mean by that, rather than giving you a blank slate or allowing you to decide your past and your history and all that, they gave you some very, very basic things, but otherwise, you're Shepard. Virtually every Shepard starts off as the same Shepard. When the game starts, from the perspective of the writers, from the perspective of the people who wrote Mass Effect, at 0 point, which is the beginning of Mass Effect 1, Shepard is, with very few permutations, the same character. Now, this was very smart on their behalf, in my opinion, because it means that they could set all of the pieces and the structure of the story up to this point, and then you decide how the story goes from this point, right? What I'm trying to say here is if they tried to make it so you decide both ends of this, this would get insane very quickly. Like, it would go completely bonkers. Because you'd have to keep track of so many things from all the possible backgrounds and all of the possible choices during the thing, right? Instead, what we have is their shepherd. Now, you get to change a few lines of dialogue across all 3 games. Like, I think it's literally a dozen lines of dialogue in 3 games. And you get to change your side quest in Mass Effect 1, and I think there's like one little side thing you get in Mass Effect 2 with regards to the emails, and like you get to meet your mom in Mass Effect 3 if you pick one of the Origins. And that's kind of it. But it works. And I was about to point out, you'll notice that this is the inverse of Dragon Age, specifically Dragon Age Origins, so named for a good reason. In Dragon Age Origins, a lot of the point was that you should be allowed to decide who you are before you hit character selection. Hence the Origins and that whole thing. And then once you move forwards, you know, then you continue to decide. That's also probably why Dragon Age Origins was designed and built from the ground up with the intent of it being one game. Whereas this game was always intended from word go to be a trilogy. I'm just pointing this out because this is something that makes a lot of sense, and is the exact kind of thing I would do. You know, here's your character, now you decide. If you're paying attention, this is kind of the similar thing to what happened in Witcher 3. In Witcher 3, we're Geralt. We start off as Geralt, the end. But there's some nuances and some choices and some malleability in what type of Geralt we are and how we play that character throughout it. And again, I'm with that. I could use another example of this. Red Dead Redemption 2 is another example of a game where we're always John. Or not John, sorry. Beard. We're always Beard Man. At the beginning of Red Dead Redemption. Arthur, thank you. We're always Arthur at the beginning of RDR2. But who we get to decide as we're going through what kind of character we are. And I'm just pointing this out to discuss the structure of it and how much it varies from a lot of other different types of games. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. So, let's see. I believe my usual is Spacer, so let's go with Colonist instead. And then let's say thank you to NG plus RNG. Wait, so it's a new game plus RNG? God, that just sounds terrifying. But I will go ahead and put that towards Triangle Strategy. You got it. Oh, and I'm sorry, I hate to do this. I knew this was going to happen, but I didn't want to wait like 20 minutes to start. It's raining out and I just got a delivery. I will be right back. Sorry about that. That was, of course, the right call. In the, 3 minutes. No, I agree, Hazardous. Obviously, Witcher 3 is a little more complex, a little more in-depth. In the 3 minutes that it took for the package to be delivered, and me getting a notification about it, the box is already quite wet. Thank you, Papa Neeks. Always appreciate you. As usual, if you know what you want to put that towards, other than you having a wonderful birthday, please let me know. Am I doing Andromeda? Nope! You can see what I'm doing if you go to lorerunner.com/upcoming, or you can type in !next into chat, or you can just go to the website and look for the button that says the Q in the upper left. All three of these things will lead you to the same thing, aka what we're doing. So, Earthborn. You're an orphan raised on the streets of the great megatropolises. Shouldn't it be megatropoli? Covering Earth. You escaped the life of petty crime and underworld gangs by enlisting with the Alliance military when you turned 18. Spacer. Both of your parents were in the military. Your childhood was spent on ships and stations as they transferred from posting to posting, never staying in one location for more than a few years. Following in your parents' footsteps, you enlisted at the age of 18. Born and raised on Mindor. Planet M, a small border colony in the Attican Traverse. When you were 16, slavers raided Planet M, slaughtering your family and friends. You were saved by a passing Alliance patrol, and you enlisted with the military a few years later. Thank you, E-Tree. Usual question. Always appreciate you. I will put it towards Horizon Forbidden Death Doom. Oh, it's weird, Sierra Mike. Now, this isn't much, but I do want to give some credit. One of the things Mass Effect 1 in particular does very well is casual world building. Even, oh my god, even just in this very opening thing, even while haven't even left character creation, we're already getting a couple of hints of what's going on and what kind of a setting we're in. We may not know all the specifics, we don't know what happened with Mars, or the Relay, or the Turians, and we don't know what the Krogan Rebellion was, we don't have any idea what any of that crap was, but we get enough pieces of the puzzle to be able to look back and be like, okay. So, that's awesome, if I might be so bold. And second of all, thank you, Suri Virus. A rather amusing name, and thank you, much appreciate. If you want to put that towards a specific run for the future, please let me know. Make sure I spell this right. There we go. We're going with Colonist.
Confirm psychological profile.
The immediate options. Next up, we've got Ruthless. Throughout your military career... Oh, yeah, by the way, I'm sorry. I hate to repeat myself. But to reiterate my earlier point, you'll notice how even though we have some options for our history, all of them led to the same point. We used to live with our parents, and then we joined the military. We used to live in the slums, and then we joined the military. We used to live, on a local colony, and then we joined the military. You see my point? I don't mean to, overemphasize this. I'm just emphasizing that this is a brilliant construction of how the narrative works, and it's one of the reasons why we can have our own Shepard, despite the fact that Shepard is always going to be in the military, is always going to be human, and is always going to have a certain level of investment in galactic affairs. There's always going to be a certain Shepard, regardless of how you play them. Thank you, JD Jordan. JDG Jordan, because there's always that extra letter there, and I'm never going to say it right. In fact, I just give up. Your name's Bob now. Thank you, Bob. Very much appreciate. Yeah, we're also always elite military. That N7 actually means something. It means that we're ridiculously good at what we do. I will put that towards Dragon Quest V. Yeah, we left the vault on the wastelands, and then we joined the military. You get the point. You get the point. And thank you... Oh my god, I'm getting bombarded. Thank you, Volcanto. Always appreciate it. If you want that to go towards something, please let me know. Yeah, exactly, Hazardous. We'll get to that in a minute, though. So anyways, Ruthless. Throughout your military career, you have held fast to one basic rule. Get the job done. You've been called cold, calculating, brutal, renegade even. Your reputation for ruthless efficiency makes your fellow soldiers wary of you, but when failure is not an option, the military always goes to you first. War hero. Early in your military career, you found yourself facing an overwhelming enemy force. You risked your life to save your fellow soldiers and defeat the enemy despite the impossible odds. Your bravery and heroism have earned you medals and recognition from the Alliance fleet. Then, of course, we have this fun one. During your service, a mission you were on went horribly wrong. Trapped in extreme survival situation, you had to overcome physical torments and psychological stresses that would have broken most people. You survived while all those around you fell, and you alone lived to tell the tale. Shepard survived thanks to the power of save scum. And I will put that towards XCOM 2, Volcanto. Thank you. I'm glad you like my Star Trek stuff, by the way. Survivors, thank you. I think we'll go with War Hero this time.
Confirm military specialization.
So let's talk about classes briefly. So there's hold on. No, I'm right. So there's 3 core classes and then 3 hybrid classes. If I might be so bold, this is actually a really good system. In fact, I have legitimately thought about patterning my own pen and paper system, which I'm still refining right now, off of this concept. Yes, AppDaft. Don't worry, it won't be the last. So, because think of it like a triangle, right? So up top, you got soldiers, because soldiers are the best. Soldiers they have the ability to use any weapon, they can use better armor, and they get some other perks later. So, soldier. Over here on the lower left, you have engineers, tech specialist, holograph, omni-tool, decrypt, repair, modify, disrupt enemy weapons and shields, heal the squad. Light armor, and they use pistols. Over here on the lower right, we have adepts, biotics, mages. Upgradable implants, they can use biotic powers to lift or throw objects, shield the squad, disable, destroy enemies. Adepts can only wear light armor and also specialize in pistols. Boom, boom. Then you have the in-betweens. So we've got Infiltrator, which is up here in between these two. Infiltrators combine combat and tech to specialize in killing or disabling at long range. You notice the sniper rifle. Infiltrators are trained to use omni-tools, focusing on decryption and offensive abilities rather than healing. They can specialize in pistols and sniper rifles and wear medium armor. And then we have Sentinel, which is down here. That's interesting, hazardous. Sentinels combine, these two, combine, biotic and tech abilities. Typically, they use biotic abilities and advanced healing skills to defend allies, though they can also disrupt opponents with biotic or tech attacks. They are most efficient at tech and biotics than other classes, but at the expense of combat. They can only wear light armor and receive no specialized weapon training. And over here we have Vanguard, Biotic Warriors, my personal favorite, I might add. They combine biotics and weapons to take down opponents and are especially deadly at short range. They specialize in pistols and shotguns and can wear medium armor. So, there's our triangle. It's actually 2 triangles. We've got the base, we've got the hybrids, we're good. And this is a very strong system because it allows you to have pretty much any type of build you want exist within these 6 options. Now, from my personal experience, Soldier is a fairly good thing if you want to play an FPS. If you want to play this like it's a shooter. Mostly in 2 and 3, but it also applies in 1. Soldier allows you to play with whatever guns you want to, and it allows you to have a couple of abilities that are useful for shooting. Adept is exactly what it sounds like. I'm going to go ahead and give my opinion here. I think Adept isn't great in 1 specifically. Mostly because Adept it's got some great combo abilities, but there's periods of just, like, it feels a little bit too cooldown focused in a game that likes to throw waves after waves of enemies at you, and your companions kind of suck in Mass Effect 1, so they can't really pick up the slack in the gaps there. Now, Sentinel is a fun one, but Sentinel, ironically, is also a class I don't care for in Mass Effect 1 specifically. And it's for the exact same reasons, because your companions suck. Now, Vanguard is the offensive glass cannon from Hell, which actually works extremely well, even in Mass Effect 1, because it allows you to get right up in the enemy's face and smack them down and keep going. It's got a bit of a cyclical gameplay style of just go, 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 which we'll get even more so in the future games. Yeah, you charge into them, and then you have the Nova for the AoE, and you've got a shotgun. So, you can see, what I'm trying to point out here is, even though Mass Effect 1's combat is still figuring out what it is, there's still a lot of options and malleability. So if nothing else, that's cool. Let's go ahead and jot down some notes here. I'm also going to be kind of reviewing most of the classes I just mentioned from memory, because again, duh, we can't play through this several times. You'll notice I didn't mention engineer. I have never played as an engineer before.
Confirm facial identification.
Look at his face. He's... I should go. Infiltrator, that's... Oh, I forgot to mention Infiltrator. Sorry. Infiltrator works, in my opinion, on Mass Effect 1 on one very important precept, and that is the sniper rifle. The sniper rifle has never... Yes, I'm going to change his stupid face. Has never not been good. In any of the Mass Effect games, the sniper rifle, or sniper rifles in general, I should probably say, has always been good stuff. So... That's the quality there. Let's see. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Yes, we can be black. But since I am not black... Although that looks really cool, actually. We can be super pale. But I'm actually closer to like over here. We're looking at our hairstyle options here. See what we got. Not super impressive. I mean, Mass Effect 1's character creation isn't great. It never has been. Although I feel like this is better than it used to be. Already. As I say, this is superior to what I remember already. Yeah, one of the things I'll never forget is importing my Mass Effect 1 Shepard, Fem-Shep, obviously, into Mass Effect 2, and her jaw was literally wrong. Like, it was inverted. I'll never forget that, because it was just blew my mind every time I see it, like, ah! I don't know, what do you think? Wait, it wouldn't be a character of mine if I didn't have tons and tons of scars. Let's see what we got here. We gotta go for the eye. We gotta emulate our buddy Garrus. Hopefully Evo doesn't donate right now, because that would completely throw me off. Gotta have the eye scar. Eye scars are cool, okay? I am my scars. Untitled Goose Game? Thank you very much. If you want to mention all the changes, go for it. Ironically, it doesn't matter for the purposes of the review, because we're not reviewing the changes, we're just reviewing the disc version of the game. Oh yeah, by the way, some people have wondered why we're reviewing the Legendary Edition instead of the original edition, because obviously it will change the review. The answer is actually a really boring answer. You ready for this? Easier to stream. And thank you, Evo Iliani. I have put that towards the Dragon Age block, the Untitled Goose Game. Yeah, some of you may not remember, but even 8 years ago, I had trouble getting the Mass Effect games into streamable status just because of issues that I don't feel like repeating right now. So, yeah, that was 8 years ago. I don't even want to imagine trying to get those games working now. Thank you, Poindexter. Always appreciate. I'll put that towards the procession to Cavalry. Also true, Cubic. That is a very valid point. One of the only reasons... This may sound strange. The only reason I want to review some older versions of games is for historical context. Like, I actively want to review Final Fantasy IV on the SNES because I want to know how it lines up compared to Final Fantasy IV on the DS or Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remaster, right? But that's historical context. With regards to something like this, nobody cares. Alright, so I think we're actually pretty good. I think I'm kind of happy with this. Fun fact, I'm actually fairly tan in real life, but you wouldn't know it because I've got giant glaring lights on my face. And I don't get as much sun as I used to. No, Nemesis. But I don't want to get into that right now. So, finalize. Let's do it.
Profile reconstruction complete.
Colonist, war hero, engineer, Ranix. Let's do it.
Identification confirmed.
Normal. Do not do auto level up. I don't even know what that means. Subtitles on, autosave on, tutorials on. What does this mean? Classic mode. The original 1 through 60 range will be used instead of the new 1 through 30 range. Exp and talent point progression remains the same, but the number of levels is double. Okay. I don't have to alt-tab every time a cutscene plays in this game.
Well, what about Shepard? He grew up in the colonies.
He knows how tough life can be out there. His parents were killed when slavers attacked Mindwar.
He proved himself during the Blitz. Held off enemy forces on the ground until reinforcements arrived.
He's the only reason Elysium is still standing.
We can't question his courage.
Humanity needs a hero, and Shepard's the best we've got.
I'll make the call.
In the year 2148, explorers on Mars discovered the remains of an ancient spacefaring civilization. In the decades that followed, these mysterious artifacts revealed startling new technologies, enabling travel to the furthest stars. And then a war. The basis for this incredible technology was a force that controlled the very fabric of space and time. They called it the greatest discovery in human history. The civilizations of the galaxy call it...
The Arcturus Prime relay is in range. Initiating transmission sequence.
Commander?
We are connected. Calculating transit mass and destination. The relay is hot. Acquiring approach vector. All stations secure for transit. The board is green. Approach run has begun. Hitting the relay in 3, 2, 1. Thrusters, check. Navigation, check. Internal emissions sync engaged. All systems online. Drift, just under 1500K.
1500 is good. Your captain will be pleased.
I hate that guy.
Nihlus gave you a compliment. So you hate him.
You remember to zip up your jumpsuit on the way out of the bathroom? That's good. I just jumped us halfway across the galaxy and hit a target the size of a pinhead. So that's incredible. Besides, Spectres are trouble. I don't like having them on board. Call me paranoid.
You're paranoid. The Council helped fund this project. They have a right to send someone to keep an eye on their investment.
Yeah, that is the official story. But only an idiot believes the official story.
Alright, pause. We actually have a lot to unpack in just a few minutes here. Oh, I remember Volcanto. I remember. So let's go ahead and jot down some thoughts here. So first of all, we actually aren't done with the intro yet. We won't be done with the intro for several more minutes, possibly longer, depending on how many times we stop to talk, because it's me. But we do have a very strong opening. You'll notice that the opening establishes several things very quickly and very efficiently. Now, the game makes it very clear we're part of the military. But what it also, rather than just putting that in the dialogue bits at the beginning, it's clear, at the character select, we get the impression that this is entirely a military affair from the little discussion between Udina and Anderson, as well as in the very nature of how the ship is being run. This does feel actually kind of like a submarine, but the point is this feels like a military ship. Point one. Point two is the fact that they do a little bit to kind of showcase... Oh yeah, Hackett was there too, excuse me. Yeah, we get saluted as we're walking across. They even mentioned something about, they say, Commander, yes sir, kind of thing. But we've also got a little bit of a sense of scale. We don't really know what the mass relays are yet or how important they are, but what we do know is that they are huge and they are directly involved with us doing FTL. So that's... And you notice how they just kind of establish that through natural dialogue and through just showcasing of the relay, the fling, and then Joker mentioning the drift, and then going halfway across the galaxy. It just kind of lines in perfectly, right? So that's awesome, too. Good exposition, good showcasing. And then we have some pretty natural banter between Joker and... I'll remember how to pronounce his name once I hear it. Because I never remember, because I always kill him. So, all of that's cool stuff. I'm with every bit we've just seen so far. Oh yeah, sorry, Karth. Yeah, Karth Onassi. That's who our other guy is. Yeah, I kill him personally. Pull out the knife. Alright, Karth. I was always planning to betray you, just like the Admiral. And then I stab him in the back over and over and... sorry, where was I? We also get a couple of little tidbits of things. And again, some more good exposition. You notice that they just casually drop the idea that Nihlus is a Spectre, and that they're here looking in on their investment. And just a couple little tidbits like that. They don't need to explain yet, just kind of getting across some specifics there. Oh yes, obviously, since we will be killing Ashley this time around, right in the neck, just like we usually kill Karth. Heck, and mute. God, I've missed being able to mute my frickin' mic. No idea how much it's been bugging the crap out of me. For about 39 days, I think it was, something like that. But yeah, so, Spectre, investment. Oh, and of course, Earth is kind of a new player on the scene. That intro is awesome, of course. You know, the whole... They called it Mass Effect. Like, that's great. But if you think about it, that does establish something very, very well. It's the Babylon 5 thing, which this game has openly been inspired by. Humans are new to the board. Now, this will come up over and over and over again. But again, this is all being established quickly and efficiently. There's not some guy who's like, did you know? 13 years ago... Humanity. No, it just says, yeah, they call it the Mass Effect. We call it the greatest thing in the industry. And it's just the way it's portrayed. It's awesome. I love it. I mean, yeah, I'll take the Turians over the Minbari. No joke on that front. And yes, I understand what I'm saying. They called it title drop. As you know, it's from Liscimplari. Glumbilla Dungeon. Okay, so let's also get this out of the way. Joker's awesome. So Joker's probably going to be a positive. And, God, voice acting is probably going to be a positive across the board here. The question is going to be how many voice acting positives this game gets. Because there's so many good voice actors. Like, we've already heard 3 excellent ones. So, let's see here. We've got, we've got, like, the, I don't know. Joker's VA, Anderson's VA. Yes, I know his name. And we already gave pluses to Jennifer Hale, obviously. Yeah, you know what? Keith David, I don't know. Should we give Keith David a plus for being Keith David? I mean, I've played Saints Row 4. Alright, and then we've got things here. If you haven't watched Gargoyles, you should. I'm sorry, I gotta explain this. For those of you who haven't played Saints Row 4, first of all, you should. It's a great game. But second of all, in between Saints Row 3 and Saints Row 4, you, the main character, the boss, ran for President of the United States of America and won. And one of the reasons you won is because you reached out to Keith David. Not a character. He's playing Keith David. And you reached out to Keith David and said, be my running mate. And Keith David was your VP. And he brought in a lot of votes for you because he's Keith David. And that's the joke. And yet the funny thing is, that's not really a joke, is it? that's the whole point. I'm also going to probably jot down, I think, for sound design while we're here. I'm also going to jot down, I think, for music direction. I got a lot of question marks already. Holy crap. Yeah, I'm going to reach out to Keith David in real life and be like, be my running mate. And I'm going to win. You watch. All right, so next thing we see immediately is the dialogue wheel. This is actually the invention, the beginnings. The first dialogue wheel in BioWare history. And unlike, say, Tor, which we just played, the dialogue wheel isn't wildly inaccurate to what you're actually trying to say. Which is, as always, the distinction here. Now, I prefer to have the full text. I always have and I always will. That's never changing. But I will admit that at least here in Mass Effect 1 specifically, there's no real issues. I've never run into Tor syndrome in Mass Effect 1. And also, yeah, we'll also be seeing more than 3 options. That is going to get worse as we go through the Mass Effects. But at the very least, we can look at this and we have a decent idea of what's going on. We'll talk more about the dialogue wheel later, but you'll notice how obviously the cutscene pauses here, but it's trying to get across the idea of what this is, especially since this is intended to be played on an Xbox controller for the first time. So,
they don't send Spectres on shakedown runs.
So there's more going on here than the captain's letting on.
Joker, status report.
Just cleared the mass relay, Captain. Stealth systems engaged. Everything looks solid.
Good. Find a comm buoy and link us into the network. I want mission reports relayed back to Alliance Brass before we reach Eden Prime.
Aye, aye, Captain. Better brace yourself, sir. I think Nihlus is headed your way.
He's already here, Lieutenant. Tell Commander Shepard to meet me in the comm room for a debriefing.
You get that, Commander?
You know, I've played this game too much. I can already tell several times when they've actually changed the animations.
He sounds angry. Something must have gone wrong with the mission.
Captain always sounds like that when he's talking to me.
Can't possibly imagine why.
Okay, so also a couple of casual drops there, including of the... Oh, that's strange. Look at that. I'm just frozen there. But not the rest of the game. Like, do you see that? The lights are still flickering. But I'm frozen in place. And so's, like, the dude to my left. Or to my right, excuse me. Anyways, that's a good question. Is there motion blur? Shouldn't be motion blur. Motion blur is off, as it should be. So we don't have any of that crap. There, see? That's a better example of it. We're just frozen there. Meanwhile, you're murdering my question block. Sorry, film grain's already off. At least I think it is. Pretty sure. Yeah, film grain's off. Why would you ever play with film grain? If someone answer this for me, I don't even mean that as a negative thing. Why would you ever play with film grain? I don't know how to stop having my weapon out. Thank you. So, one of the things that the game does suffer a little bit from, and honestly, this is just KOTOR, really. This is the KOTOR problem. It's probably not super obvious, but you're kind of ice skatey in this game. Like, again, it's probably not super obvious watching it, but if you played this game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It is a little bit like, It's not as bad as some games, like Red Dead Redemption 1 is one of the worst games that I've ever played with this ice skatey kind of problem in movement, but it's still, it's still a little bit, So that's probably going to be our first gameplay negative potential. One gameplay negative for just general floaty controls. Thank you very, very much, Giga, putting spoilers! We meet our own mother, who is from the past, our future's wife's husband. There you go. And thank you, Giga Pudding. I will put that towards 6.2 if you give me a moment.
I'm telling you, I just saw him. He marched by like he was on a mission.
He's a Spectre. They're always on a mission.
And we're getting dragged, right along with him.
Relax, Presley. You're gonna give yourself an ulcer.
So, couple of things. Now, obviously, the design of the ship is being done for narrative purpose and for aesthetic purpose. But you'll notice there's a gameplay function behind doing this way. We start over here, and simply by going this way, we're pretty much guaranteed to not only see the navigator press the thing, you see it at the top of the screen, and the little indicator right there on the HUD. It's actually hard to not talk to Presley as you lead. You basically have to decide not to talk to Presley. So the game is trying to kind of give you an idea of how to talk to NPCs. Nice, smooth, in-character kind of a thing there.
Congratulations, Commander. Looks like we had a smooth run. You heading down to see the captain?
Sounds like you don't trust our Turian guest.
Sorry, Commander. Just having a chat with Adams down at engineering. I didn't mean to cause any trouble. But you have to admit, something's odd about this mission. The whole crew feels it.
You think the Alliance brass is holding out on us?
If all we're supposed to do is test out the stealth system, why is Captain Anderson in charge? And then there's Nihlus. Spectres are elite operatives, top covert agents. Why send a Spectre, a Turian Spectre, on a shakedown run? It doesn't add up.
Oh yeah, by the way, one thing that does make this a slightly better dialogue wheel than some other dialogue wheels is that it's still nested. There's more than 3 options, or 2 options, and you can pop out like this to actually see even more options.
What do you know about the stealth systems?
I just know it masks our location from scans and sensors. Cutting-edge technology. The Normandy's the only ship with this prototype drive. But why are we fully staffed? A skeleton crew would be cheaper, less chance of security leaks too. Plus there's Nihlus. It's pretty obvious this shakedown run is just a cover.
For what?
Damned if I know, Commander. We're out here on false pretenses. I'm not a fan of being left in the dark.
Do you have a problem with the captain?
No, sir. But I can't figure out what he's doing here. Captain Anderson is one of the most decorated Special Forces officers in the service. If he melted down all his medals, he could make a life-size statue of himself. You don't send a soldier like that on a do-nothing mission. He's treating this shakedown run too seriously. Something big is going on.
Oh yeah, I should also mention there's standardization to the dialogue wheel. There's right is usually actual choices which either move forward or terminate the conversation. Left usually leads towards investigations like this. And, of course, we'll see some color coding later on as well once we get to those kind of things.
You don't trust Nihlus.
I don't like Turians in general. It runs in my family. My grandfather fought in the First Contact War. Lost a lot of friends when the Turians hit us.
That was 30 years ago. You can't blame Nihlus for that.
No, I guess not. But it still makes me nervous to have a Spectre on board, especially a Turian. We're an Alliance vessel, human military, but Nihlus doesn't answer to the captain like the rest of us. Spectres operate outside the normal chain of command. And they don't come along just to observe shakedown runs. Nihlus looks like he's expecting some heavy action.
Oh yeah, sorry. I should probably mention, top is almost always more diplomatic, and bottom is almost always more aggressive. And yes, that does kind of lean itself towards Paragon and Renegade. So even if they're not Paragon and Renegade, for example, I'll look into it as the more diplomatic option here. Just do your job is the more Renegade option here, so you can see there's standardization there too.
I'll see if I can get some answers when I see him.
Good luck, Commander.
We also gain experience for talking to people.
It's not the kind of place Spectres visit. There's something Nihlus isn't telling us about this mission.
That's crazy. The captain's in charge here. He wouldn't take orders from a Spectre.
Not his choice, Doc. Spectres don't answer to anyone. They can do whatever they want. Kill anyone who gets in their way.
Oh, you watch too many spy vids, Jenkins.
I mean, he's right. They have legal, authority. Now, let's get this out of the way. I do like it being Paragon Renegade instead of good, evil, or light side, dark side. I always have, and I always will. That being stated, the quality of whether or not an individual choice is actually Paragon or Renegade tends to vary. It varies per game, and it varies per choice. So... But yes, and notice, I'm sorry for spending so much time here, but I talk so much about how important intros to games are, and this is a good example of why. Everything about this is designed to impress you, but also to get you to know what you need to. You can talk to Presley, but you don't have to. If you go past him, once again, notice it's immediately indicating either Chakwas or Jenkins down there. And even if you don't talk to them, they do speak out loud about the Spectre nature of it and about the gossip that's going around the bridge right now. Then we can talk to them.
What do you think, Commander? We won't be staying on Eden Prime too long, will we? I'm itching for some real action.
I sincerely hope you're kidding, Corporal. Your real action usually ends with me patching up crew members in the infirmary.
So again, relax, Jenkins. Trying to calm him down. Siding with her. It's part of the job, Doc. Pumping him up, siding with him. We can also kind of go neutral, which tends to...
You need to calm down, Corporal. A good soldier stays cool, even under fire.
Sorry, Commander, but this waiting's killing me. I've never been on a mission like this before, not one with a Spectre on board.
What can you tell me about Nihlus?
Turians are generally well respected by the other species. Their fleet has more patrols protecting Citadel space than any other. They don't always get on well with us, though. Some people find them too rigid. Others still blame them for the First Contact War. As for Nihlus, I haven't said more than 2 words to him. He usually only speaks to the captain.
I heard Nihlus once took down an entire enemy platoon all by himself. Man, I can't believe I'm on a mission with an actual Spectre.
What do you know about the Spectres?
Only what I've heard. Spectre agents work directly for the Citadel Council. They usually work alone or in small groups. Spectres don't have any official power, though. Basically, they're a shadow organization with a mandate to preserve and protect galactic stability.
Protect it at any cost. Don't forget that part. Spectres operate above the law.
Yes, Lotario. Is the question bug going? Yeah, it's going. So, I was going to save this discussion for much later, but Lotario just asked me it 5 seconds ago, so we'll kick it up about 7 hours. The Spectre... I'm going to give a gameplay and story integration positive to the existence of the Spectre concept in Mass Effect 1. Just in 1. The reason why is because it is a perfect explanation for why we are the Adventurer, the PC. We can go around and do what we need to without having to worry about all the crap, all the justification, all the authorization, all of the fields of authority, all the fields of jurisdiction that, people have to deal with. because it's a video game, and dealing with that crap would suck. But we still want to have some kind of story justification for why we're running around doing all this crap. In Neverwinter Nights, we're playing an adventurer who has a mandate from the local, baron, king, whatever, the local leader, the local lord. So that gives us some of that authorization and justification. In Dragon Age Origins, we're a Grey Warden, and in Mass Effect 1, we are a Spectre. You get my point, right? Yeah, the Normandy itself also slits perfectly into this concept. It's not a battleship. It's a dinky little frigate, but it's a stealth frigate, which allows us to go places that other ships literally cannot. And, of course, it allows us to have access to places that other places literally wouldn't even be able to get landing permits for. So, yeah, no red tape. You're an adventurer. Go. I love it. So, I have so many positives. This is going to review pretty well. The only question is, how are the three Mass Effects going to review relative to each other? But anyways.
You're from Eden Prime, aren't you, Jenkins? What's it like?
It's very peaceful, Commander. They've been real careful with development, so you don't have any city noise or pollution. My parents lived on the outskirts of the colony. At night, I used to climb this big hill and stare across the fields back at the lights from the main settlement. It was gorgeous. But when I got older, I realized it was a little too calm and quiet for me. That's why I joined the Alliance. Even Paradise gets boring after a while.
Any idea why Eden Prime was chosen as our destination?
Not really sure, Commander. Eden Prime's one of our most stable colonies. Good place to take the Normandy for a shakedown run, I guess. No real danger there. There's gotta be something else going on. We've got a Spectre on board. That's why I'm so wound up. I can't wait for the real mission to start.
Just treat this like every other assignment you've had and everything will work out.
Easy for you to say. You proved yourself in the Blitz. Everybody knows what you can do. This is my big chance. I need to show the brass what I can do.
This mission isn't about personal glory, Corporal. We have a job to do. Don't do anything stupid to mess it up.
Don't worry, sir. I'm not gonna screw this up.
The captain's waiting for me.
Goodbye, Commander.
It's the same type of run every run we've ever done ever is, Latario. Oh yeah, I hate to point this out. Oh, well, never mind. To be continued.
I think it's about time we told the commander what's really going on.
This mission is far more than a simple shakedown run.
Is someone gonna fill me in, Captain?
We're making a covert pickup on Eden Prime. That's why we needed the stealth systems operational.
There must be a reason you didn't tell me about this, sir.
This comes down from the top, Commander. Information strictly on a need-to-know basis. A research team on Eden Prime unearthed some kind of beacon during an excavation. It was Prothean.
I thought the Protheans vanished 50,000 years ago.
Their legacy still remains. The mass relays, the Citadel, our ship drives. It's all based on Prothean technology.
This is big, Shepard. The last time humanity made a discovery like this, it jumped our technology forward 200 years. But Eden Prime doesn't have the facilities to handle something like this. We need to bring the beacon back to the Citadel for proper study.
Obviously, this goes beyond mere human interests, Commander. This discovery could affect every species in Council space.
So, yeah, no, I've played this game before, believe it or not, so I noticed the skip. Ironically, the first thing I did immediately and without actually meaning to was to hit escape to try and back out of the conversation, but unfortunately that is something that is specific to Tor, so there's no fixing anything like that. Now, we have a little bit of an opportunity to decide, once again, the nuance of which character. We're always Shepard, military, human, but we can decide, okay, we don't need the help of the Turians, or, yeah, no, Papa Neat. Why did we tell the Council, which is a little bit antagonistic, and of course, I'm glad you're here to help, which is a little bit more diplomatic.
It never hurts to have a few extra hands on board.
The beacon's not the only reason I'm here, Shepard.
Nihlus wants to see you in action, Commander. He's here to evaluate you.
Guess that explains why I bump into him every time I turn around.
The Alliance has been pushing for this for a long time. Humanity wants a larger role in shaping interstellar policy. We want more say with the Citadel Council. The Spectres represent the Council's power and authority. If they accept a human into their ranks, it shows how far the Alliance has come.
You held off an enemy assault during the Blitz single-handed. You showed not only courage, but also incredible skill. That's why I put your name forward as a candidate for the Spectres.
Why would a Turian want a human in the Spectres?
Not all Turians resent humanity. Some of us see the potential of your species. We see what you have to offer to the rest of the galaxy, and to the Spectres. We are an elite group. It's rare to find an individual with the skills we seek. I don't care that you're human, Shepard. I only care that you can do the job.
Now, if I might be so bold, that's kind of the theme of all of Mass Effect in one sentence. I don't care that you're human, I only care that you can do the job. Both a renegade and a Paragon Shepard falls exactly into that mentality, since Mass Effect is all about uniting despite and indeed because of our differences.
I assume this is good for the Alliance.
Earth needs this, Shepard. We're counting on you.
I need to see your skills for myself, Commander. Eden Prime will be the first of several missions together.
That's because his voice acting's terrible, J. Palmer.
Secure the beacon and get it onto the ship ASAP. Nihlus will accompany you to observe the mission.
Possibly, Zactapt. I don't have the thing up right now.
What do you know about the Protheans?
Just what they taught us in school. They were a technologically advanced species that ruled the galaxy 50,000 years ago. Then they vanished. Nobody really knows how or why, though I've heard plenty of theories. But everyone agrees, galactic civilization wouldn't exist without them.
Their Citadel is the very heart of galactic society, and without their mass relays, interstellar travel would be impossible. We all owe the Protheans a great debt.
Oh yeah, as an aside, someone asked me earlier if I could tell the audio differences. Absolutely yes. Speaking to someone who not only has headphones in, but works with audio all the time, they have definitely missed with the balancing, and in some cases I actually don't like it.
I'd like to know more about Eden Prime before we touch down.
It's a peaceful farming world, but it represents something much bigger. Eden Prime is one of our oldest and most successful colonies. It proved we were ready to face the challenges of settling new worlds, to forge a place for humanity beyond Earth. It symbolizes humanity's growth and evolution as a spacefaring species. And after this, it will be known as the world where humans made a discovery of galactic importance.
Why is this beacon so important?
All advanced galactic civilization is based on Prothean technology, even yours.
If we hadn't discovered those Prothean ruins buried on Mars, we'd still be stuck on Earth. That was just a small data cache. Who knows what we can learn from this beacon? What if it's a weapons archive? We can't let it fall into the wrong hands.
Like who?
The Attican Traverse isn't the most stable sector of Citadel space. There are plenty of raiders and criminal groups active in the region. They might figure a Prothean beacon is worth the risk of attacking an Alliance ship. Plus, Eden Prime is right on the border of the Terminus systems.
The Attican Traverse is under Citadel protection. If the Terminus systems attack, it's an act of war.
Technically, yes. But some of the species in the Terminus might be willing to start a war over this.
The last thing the Council wants is to get dragged into a major conflict with the Terminus systems. We have to keep this low-key.
Just give the word, Captain.
We should be getting close to Eden.
Captain, we got a problem.
What's wrong, Joker?
Transmission from Eden Prime, sir. You better see this.
Bring it up on screen.
Get down!
Hi, Ashley.
We are under attack, taking heavy casualties. I repeat, heavy casualties. We can't get evac. They came out of nowhere. We need...
Well, hello there. So like I said, sound design.
Out after that, no comm traffic at all. Just goes dead. There's nothing.
Reverse and hold at 38.5.
I love that. Do you see that? With his jaw, whatever.
Report.
Like his mandibles.
17 minutes out, Captain. No other Alliance ships in the
subtle
area.
little alien way to kind of
Take
twitch,
us in,
you know.
fast and quiet. This mission just got a lot more complicated.
A small strike team can move quickly, without drawing attention. It's our best chance to secure the beacon.
Grab your gear and meet us in the cargo hold. Tell Alenko and Jenkins to suit up, Commander. You're going in.
Alright, Karth.
Engaging stealth systems. Somebody was doing some serious digging here, Captain.
Your team's the muscle in this operation, Commander. Go in heavy and head straight for the dig site.
What about survivors, Captain?
Helping survivors is a secondary objective. The beacon's your top priority.
Approaching drop point 1.
Nihlus, you're coming with us?
I move faster on my own.
Here's one of those random...
Nihlus will scout out ahead. He'll feed you status reports throughout the mission. Otherwise, I want radio silence.
Here's one of those random thought exercises. What would have happened if Nihlus had stayed with us?
We've got his back, Captain.
The mission's yours now, Shepard. Good luck!
Now, we know why he didn't. It's literally because plot. But these events would have gone substantially differently if Nihlus had gone with us.
Ship perimeter secured, Commander.
Like, substantially differently.
This place got hit hard, Commander. Hostiles everywhere.
Oh god.
Keep your guard up.
Hold up. Okay, so mouse sensitivity is wrong. Let's fix that. Hold up. It's still a little too high. Sorry, give me a sec, give me a sec. Alright, that's a little better. Touched up the terrain, which is nice. You also get an idea of what kind of, what a colony actually looks like, because not a lot of cities, not a lot of suburbia, which is correct and indeed should be. Mostly you got those things and large swaths of fields.
What the hell are those?
Gas bags. Don't worry, they're harmless.
Damn!
Oh, right, we're an engineer. Hey, let me reload. Why is it... Oh, whatever.
Oh, God. What happened here?
So what do we have? Sniper, pistol, and good old reliable. Several times I've wondered who that guy is in cutscenes. Because I don't recognize him. No, Jenkins, no. You were too good for this world. It was all because of Jonathan Freeloader. That donation, like, it distracted me so much that I let Jenkins die. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Jonathan Freeloader, for horrifically murdering Jenkins. May he rest in peace. What I find funniest is They vary up. Like, BioWare just has this thing with early disposable party members. Like, it's their shtick, right? It has been since Baldur's Gate, arguably. And what I find most funny is most of the time they don't even bother. It's just, yeah, nah, he's dead. Okay, cool, whatever. Very occasionally they have someone who, like, they try to tease it out a bit. Like, maybe this is an actual party member. Nope, they're dead. They're dead. Dragon Age Origins Awakening comes to mind immediately on that one. Or yeah, the Rogue in Origins. That's 2 Dragon Age ones. So, Jonathan Freeloader, I can't help but notice you didn't put that towards anything. So if you want to put that towards something, please let me know. And thank you very much, Warpcore. I have jotted that down for FTL. Anyways, Jenkins is dead. Wait, hold up. Let's make sure. Okay, wait, hang on. Hang on. Okay, Jenkins is dead. Can confirm.
Ripped right through his shields. Never had a chance.
Sometimes Marines die. The rest of us just have to carry on. We still have to find that beacon.
Aye, aye, sir.
No, see, think about it, Warpcore. This is his planet. He's from Eden Prime, and they just lost it to the Geth. He doesn't have a planet anymore. Hey, let me see if there's a pulse. Yep, nope, no pulse. So, as per usual, they throw us at a couple of tutorial enemies. More to the point.
I've got some burned out buildings here, Shepard. A lot of bodies. I'm gonna check it out. I'll try to catch up with you at the dig site.
More to the point. We don't actually know who's attacking yet because all we're being fought by is literally drones. Now, I know they say Geth recon drones. But from the perspective of someone who's never actually played this game before and has no idea what a Geth is, that doesn't mean anything to us. You know, that's the funny part. I wonder if we could have actually saved him with some Omni-Gel. Or 2 years and a few trillion credits. So, this is messed up. And that's how we're introduced to the Geth. And Ashley, while we're on the subject. And once again, sound design.
Gunnery Chief Ashley Williams of the 212. You the one in charge here, sir?
Are you wounded, Williams?
A few scrapes and burns, nothing serious. The others weren't so lucky. Oh man. We were patrolling the perimeter when the attack hit. We tried to get off a distress call, but they cut off our communications. I've been fighting for my life ever since.
Where's the rest of your squad?
We tried to double back to the beacon, but we walked into an ambush. I don't think any of the others... I think I'm the only one left.
Any idea what kind of enemy we're facing?
I think they're Geth.
The Geth haven't been seen outside the Veil in nearly 200 years. Why are they here now?
They must have come for the beacon. The dig site is close, just over that rise. It might still be there.
So a nice little tidbit there. We see the robot things. We hear that they're Geth. 200 years ago. It's funny because Evo's right. There is some bad exposition in this game, usually during the cutscenes like this one. But there's also some very good exposition. It's a bit of a mixed bag.
We could use your help, Williams.
Aye, aye, sir. It's time for payback.
What else do you know about the Geth?
Just what I remember from history class back in school. They're synthetics, non-organic life forms with limited AI programming, created by the Quarians a few centuries ago. They were supposed to be a source of cheap labor, but ended up turning on the Quarians and drove them into exile. Well, after that, they just kind of disappeared behind the Perseus Veil. Nobody's really heard much from them since.
Tell me everything you know about the beacon.
They were doing some digging out here to extend the monorail and expand the colony. A few weeks ago, they unearthed some Prothean ruins, and the beacon. Suddenly, every scientific expert in the colony was interested. That's when they brought us in to secure the site. I don't know much about the beacon itself, but I heard one of the researchers say this could be the biggest scientific discovery of the century.
Describe what happened leading up to the attack.
We were sent out a couple of nights ago from the main colony to secure the area. Seemed like a routine patrol, until the Geth hit us. We never knew they were coming.
What happened to the researchers at the dig site?
I don't know. They set up camp near the beacon. The 232 was with them. Maybe their unit fared better than mine.
Sorry, I'm trying to look something up, and it's kind of being irritating. Gosh darn it.
Have you seen a Turian Spectre around here?
There aren't any Turians on Eden.
Oh, yeah, by the way, you can skip cutscenes.
Carries enough firepower to wipe out a whole
Caden, what are you carrying?
Luckily, he's on our side.
Sorry. Like I said, no Turians.
Okay, whatever. That's what I thought. So for a bit of perspective, just to kind of throw this into framework here. Let me double check my dates. Yeah, in the 1890s, 1895 specifically, was when the Geth incident happened. Think about what was happening here on Earth in 1895.
Move out.
Yeah, let's level here a little bit. Looks like we've got some good anti-tech stuff, which will be useful for the bajillions of Geth we'll be fighting. It's like getting fire damage in an undead campaign. I can get overload. I have overload, actually. Yeah, I don't know. So we've got pistol, which is duh, and armor, which is duh. And then we've got sabotage and hacking. It looks like that's actually it. And then damping, excuse me, and overload. And it looks like that's it. So we've got hacking, sabotage, damping, and overload is going to be our 4 abilities for this. And of course we've got charm, which is what we're going to crank up, because of course we are. And then intimidate, because of course we are. Because it's an RPG, so obviously we're going to crank those. I actually complained about this in KOTOR. Remember, we had a whole discussion about this. About how many games these are mandatory. No, I've kind of been ignoring the question bot because I've been stuck in cutscenes for the last, like, hour. Imperial Star Destroyer, let's see. Although, actually, is the bot... The bot should be working. Hang on, let's see here. As Destroyer. There's your question. Does the end of the MMOs mean stream missions will start soon? No. Because we're not done with MMOs yet. Alright, so. And then Engineer just makes things cheaper. And, oh, sorry, increases tech protection and reduces recharge time. Yes, I will talk in a tone that involves me reading in order to... I need something to read. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What's the next stream nation going to be? Some cowboy show I can't think of the name of right now. Whatever. Since you're actually going to live this time, he is, of course, an adept. Oh, no, he's a sentinel. My bad. Let's see. We've got throw, which is crap. Lift, which is crap. Barrier, which is crap. Stasis, which is crap. I'm just joking. Correct. Primarch. Oh, that didn't even do that. There we go. And I do want to get lift at some point, so let's go and do that. And of course, she's going to be assault rifles because that's her only purpose in life. Also, I find it interesting that that our first companions are Caden and Ashley. The reason I find this funny is, spoilers, we get to give a choice later on to kill one of these two people by stabbing them in the neck and then in the back, as I demonstrated earlier. Now, what I find strange about this is I don't know anybody who likes both of these characters. This is your cue to say that you like both of these characters in the chat or in the comments. But I mean that sincerely. I've never known anybody who likes both of these people. Most of the time the argument boils down to which one do you dislike the least. And I mention that because I have seen lots and lots of people who argue over which one to kill based entirely on which one you dislike more. For the record, I don't like either of them either. I like her more, but Karth over there can go to hell for reasons we've already discussed. And yes, I know they have an initial point. I'm just sitting on it for now. Although I guess, actually, I could go down to this. That's not it. Where's... Well, whatever, we'll do that then. Yeah, I know, right, Wenlock? Caden's a dick. And Ashley's... Ashley. But anyways. So there's our quest log. It's... I mean, it exists. That's about all I can say about that. Let's talk about the Codex. So there's secondary stuff like this. This is exactly what it sounds like. This is just stuff you can read. This is cool. This is whatever. You know, it's neat. But then there's, this.
Roughly 1,200 years ago, the Turians were invited to join the Citadel Council to fulfill the role of galactic peacekeepers. The Turians have the largest fleet in Citadel space, and they make up the single largest portion of the Council's military forces. As their territory and influence has spread, the Turians have come to rely on the Solarians for military intelligence and the Asari for diplomacy. Despite a somewhat colonial attitude towards the rest of the galaxy, the ruling hierarchy understands they would lose more than they would gain if the other two races were ever removed. Turians come from an autocratic society that values discipline and possesses a strong sense of personal and collective honor. There is lingering animosity between Turians and humans over the First Contact War of 2157, which is known as the Relay 314 incident to the Turians. Officially, however, the two species are allies, and they enjoy civil, if cool, diplomatic relations. "50,000 years ago, the Protheans were the only spacefaring species in the galaxy. They vanished in a swift galactic extinction. Only the legacy of their empire remains. They are believed to have built the mass relays and the Citadel, which have allowed numerous species to explore and expand throughout the galaxy. Prothean ruins are found on worlds across the galaxy. While surprisingly intact for their age, functioning examples of Prothean paleotechnology are rare. Time and generations of looters have picked their dead cities and derelict stations clean. Some believe the Protheans meddled in the evolution of younger races. The Hanar homeworld of Kadje, for example, shows clear evidence of former Prothean occupation. The presence of a former Prothean observation post on Mars has caused a rebirth of interventionary evolutionists among humans. These individuals believe the god myths of ancient civilizations are misremembered encounters with aliens. The Geth are a humanoid race of networked AIs. They were created by the Quarians 300 years ago as tools of labor and war. When the Geth showed signs of self-evolution, the Quarians attempted to exterminate them. The Geth won the resulting war. This example has led to legal, systematic repression of artificial intelligences in galactic society. The Geth possess a unique distributed intelligence. An individual has rudimentary animal instincts, but as their numbers and proximity increase, the apparent intelligence of each individual improves. In groups, they can reason, analyze situations, and use tactics, as well as any organic race. Geth space is located at the trailing end of the Perseus Arm, beyond the lawless Terminus systems. The Perseus Veil, an obscuring dark nebula of opaque gas and dust, lies between their space and the Terminus systems.
You know, I know not many people are aware of the fact that I have a website, which is why I constantly bang on about the fact that I have a website. But I actually had a couple of comments being like, wait, what? This is happening now? Or where's this coming from? It's like, but this has been on the books for months. I have a schedule and everything. Anyways. So I'm not going to make you sit here and listen to all of these. But I wanted you to get a few of them because, first of all, this actor deserves a positive by himself. Second of all, yes, Mars, Warp Core. I host the whole website on Mars. Second of all, no, what I mean is people who didn't know I would be playing Mass Effect Hazards. I get those kind of comments all the time. I didn't know you'd be playing this game, or I had no idea you'd ever cover this game, and so forth and so on. But, that's a strange comment. What do you mean, Daedalus? Anyways, the Codex is amazing and the most perfect thing. No, hear me out for a second. So, we usually give pluses to Codexes. That's a pretty normal thing, and it's a pretty established precedence. I think they picked a good voice actor for the work. He is a museum voice actor. Like that's his shtick. That's his style. In fact, I think they actually hired a thing that I can't think of the name of actor in order to specifically do this. I could be wrong about that. But anyways, but the thing that I dislike about the Codex is the fact that there is an inordinate quantity of essentially critical information in here, which really helps to explain a lot of things.
From the Office of Special Tactics and Reconnaissance.
Like, if you don't have to read the Codex, but you really should, in my opinion. Now, this is obviously not going to be, as bad as the example I'm about to bring up, but I do think we have to rate this because this is going to come up when it comes to another game named Final Fantasy XIII. Now, we'll get there when we get there. But the point here is that we need to establish some type of precedence for this amount of information being in the Codex. Oh, by the way, this is a funny one. The talking about sensors and how the FTL works. There's some really cool info in here. That is an unavoidable gameplay negative, Kay. See, the thing is, what the game should allow you to do, since there are several long sections of the game in which you can have, you know, nothing really going on, you should have an option to hit something to play and then go back to the game and play it. I believe the Arkham games do that, to use an example, where you can listen to a voice file or whatever while you're playing the game. So that's a negative for gameplay for that, pretty much regardless. So that's what I was wondering, because it isn't as bad as FF13 here, because in FF13 there's actually critical information, as in what the hell is going on information in the Codex. Whereas in this game, it's more like this is context that really helps to explain a lot of what's going on and why. I really personally feel that they do actually want you to read the Codex. So, my opinion. It's actually going to be 3 positives, 1 negative, Primarch. I guess that's it. Let's go ahead and get into it.
The beacon's at the far end of this trench.
Sure. I think the question bot's taking questions. Yeah, I got a question from you. What are my thoughts on FTL and Mass Effect as a whole? It's probably the second best FTL I've seen in a science fiction work. Although, no, I'm going to stick with that. Well, I mean, okay, it's tied for second, along with like 5 other things. There we go. Boom, we're done. I am not including my own FTL, no. What's better? You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Star Wars EU is correct. The EU Star Wars is perhaps the best, there's no perhaps, it is the best FTL I've ever seen, a work of science fiction design. I do specifically mean the EU. I don't want to get into that particular topic right now. But the EU is much different than the AU's approach to hyperspace.
Huh.
But the FTL in this game is, excuse me, in this franchise is quite good. It's up there with other games I can mention, like, not Star Citizen, Star Control, and Babylon 5, for example.
This is the dig site. The beacon was right here. It must have been moved.
By who? Our side or the Geth?
Hard to say. Maybe we'll know more after we check out the research camp.
You think anyone got out of here alive?
If they were lucky. Maybe hiding up in the camp. It's just on the top of this ridge, up the ramps.
Change of plans, Shepard. There's a small spaceport up ahead. I want to check it out. I'll wait for you there.
Yeah, Blade to Ball. They were trying to get another actor, I don't know who off the top of my head. They failed, and they didn't have enough time to re-record. Fun fact, voice acting takes an inordinate amount of time and effort and work. So, you know, they didn't really have time to do that. Probably not budget either, actually, because this was still when BioWare was not exactly doing badly, but they're a little more niche than they became after Mass Effect, because as much as Dragon Age was a hell of a smash success, Mass Effect was the game that got broad appeal and actually got a lot of money for BioWare, which is probably one of the reasons why EA actually then ate them. I'll be right back. I should probably also mention that this is from the era in which BioWare was still relying on the BioWare magic, aka every era that BioWare has existed in. So that sucked.
Looks like they hit the camp hard.
It's a good place for an ambush. Keep your guard up. Oh god, they're still alive.
So,
Do to them.
we've already been introduced to one of our acceptable targets. Now it's time to meet the other one. Zombies. Now, granted, robot zombies, but they're zombies. Personally, I think the damn dragon spikes or dragon teeth, what the hell they call these stupid things, are absolutely horrific. That's just me. Favorite companion in just in one? Oh, that's a tough question. I don't actually know. Yeah, pass. Or I'm just gonna tell you 3 characters. So, yeah, let's go ahead and discuss something. There are...
It's closed. Security lock's engaged.
There's loot and inventory in Mass Effect 1. I know that sounds like a weird thing to point out, but there isn't in 2 and 3. You know what? Let's not discuss. We'll just discuss that later. What do we got? What do we got? I've never liked the looting in Mass Effect 1. The inventory is fine. It's nice and we got each of the categories and all the information's on display, so we know exactly what we're getting and why and how and all that fun stuff. That's cool. I don't have any problems with this because, you know, that. But let's just say that this game, in my opinion, shotguns too much loot at us. Especially for how little of it we use. But, oh yeah, then there's also the mods, which is something we'll have to discuss at some point. Let me just get my opinion out here in a quick thing. I know several people in chat are already saying this. There's too much loot in Mass Effect 1. I think that's the big problem. It's kind of the Borderlands problem. It's like, ugh. But Mass Effect 2 decided to fix this problem by getting rid of loot entirely. There's very technically loot in Mass Effect 2, but let's be clear. There's no actual loot in Mass Effect 2. So, that sucks. And this is something we'll discuss more when we come to Mass Effect 2 in general. Mass Effect 2 has a very strong tendency of not fixing anything with Mass Effect 1, just making something completely different. It's one of the reasons why Mass Effect 1 versus Mass Effect 2 is such a weird comparison, because the two are extremely different games. But anyways, so let's go ahead and equip that. And get rid of that. What else we got? What else we got? Yeah, it's a loadout. That's a good way to put that. Oh god, I've actually heard about that Blade Travel, because like it's not just that they're loot shotgunning at you, but you have a limited inventory space, and getting rid of loot is arduous. So it's even worse than like Borderlands, where you just let it pile up or don't care at a certain point. And you can literally look at something and say whether or not it's worth it or not just by glancing at it. So let's do quantity of loot. I do, however, think the interface on the equipment screen... This is a good interface. It is. Ignoring the obvious filters, which I already pointed out. Item name, item rank, mod slots right there, DPS, heatsink capacity, accuracy rating. Boom, 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 boom. All that information right there. It's even color-coded. I do like that. So that's good interface. I don't really like Avengers. I'm not going to equip that just because it's an Avenger. I don't like Avengers. I've never liked Avengers. I'm sorry. Ashley, you can have an adventure here. Have an adventure. There you go. Enjoy. So, this is as good a time as any to mention something. Not those Avengers. I feel like I'm missing buttons. Did you know that when I was firing up this game, I had to mess with it in order to get it to even acknowledge the mouse and keyboard? Oh, by the way, this is a mild complaint here, but it doesn't actually affect the review. But in order to play this game, I have to launch Steam, to launch Origins, to launch the Legendary Edition launcher, to launch Mass Effect 1. That's not a joke. I can't skip any of those steps. Okay, so let's... but yeah, I feel like I should have the ability to hotkey. Like, I feel like I should be able to button something. Okay, so that navigates, but how do I... I feel like there should be a button to Omnigel. And I know I can mouse over, but I feel like there should be a hotkey for this. And it's not in here. Nah, whatever. Doesn't matter, I guess. Oh yeah, we can also sort by level name. That's kind of cool. Oh, I couldn't imagine playing this as the controller. I think I'd shoot myself. Literally, I don't mean like I'd be like, oh, it's awful. No, I mean I'd be like, all right, let me just shoot the enemy. Ah. So we'll just do this the manual way because I don't know how to speed this up any. Wait, that's a scimitar. Yeah, go ahead and equip that. My one true love, Ashley, who we're romancing, of course, to make it all the more tragic when we have to kill her. Horrifically murdering her, of course. Oh god, do not remind me of freaking Final Fantasy 11. Just don't. So we can use Omnigel to skip most of these, or we can do this. Oh god, there we go. Controls were weird.
Humans, thank the Maker.
Hurry, close the door before they come back.
What are you doing here?
I'm Dr. Warren. I was in charge of this excavation. We hid in the shed during the attack. They must have come for the beacon. Luckily, it wasn't here. It was moved to the spaceport earlier this morning. Manuel and I stayed behind to pack up the camp. When the attack came, the Marines held them off long enough for us to hide. They gave their lives to save us.
No one is saved. The age of humanity is ended. Soon, only ruin and corpses will remain.
What else can you tell me about the attack?
It all happened so fast. 1 second we were gathering up our equipment. The next we were hiding in the shed while the Geth swarmed over the camp.
Agents of the destroyers, bringers of darkness, heralds of our extinction.
We could hear the battle outside. Gunfire, screams. I thought it would never end. Then everything went quiet. We just sat there, too afraid to move, until you came along.
Did you notice a Turian in the area?
I saw him, the Prophet, leader of the enemy. He was here before the attack.
That's impossible. Nihlus was with us in the Normandy before the attack. He couldn't have been here.
I'm sorry. Manuel's still a bit unsettled. We haven't seen your Turian. We've been hiding in here since the attack.
Can you tell me anything about the beacon?
It's some type of data module from a galaxy-wide communications network, remarkably well preserved. It could be the greatest scientific discovery of our lifetime. Miraculous new technologies, groundbreaking medical advances. Who knows what secrets are locked inside?
We have unearthed the heart of evil, awakened the beast, unleashed the darkness.
Manuel, please, this isn't the time.
What's wrong with your assistant?
Manuel has a brilliant mind, but he's always been a bit unstable. Genius and madness are two sides of the same coin.
Is it madness to see the future? To see the destruction rushing towards us? To understand there is no escape? No hope? No. I am not mad. I'm the only sane one left.
I gave him an extra dose of his meds after the attack.
Say goodnight, Manuel.
You cannot silence the truth. My voice must be heard.
Oh my god! What did you do?
That might have been a little extreme, Commander.
You can't just go around whacking people in the head.
It was only a matter of time until he did something crazy and dangerous.
I suppose you're right. By the time he wakes up, the meds will have kicked in.
Just for you guys.
Williams, take us to the spaceport.
Good luck, Commander.
Aim to please. Yeah, nobody plays Malkavian. Don't be ridiculous. So does he have his cybernetic implants already?
Saren.
Yeah, okay.
Nihlus.
Alright, let's get this out of the way. Saren's voice actor is
your
amazing.
mission, Saren. What are you doing here?
The Council thought you could use some help on this one.
I wasn't expecting to find the Geth here.
The situation's bad.
Don't worry. I've got it under control.
I love that, by the way. Okay, so let's get this out of the way. I already jot down Nihlus positive. No, I didn't. Let's jot that down really quick. That establishes Saren extremely quickly and efficiently. Yeah, and then we hear the gunshot. Just... da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Don't worry, I've got everything under control. And that's all we need to see. Immediately. The mere fact that Nihlus was completely cool with him and lowered his guard around him says a lot. And then there's that thing.
Look at the size of it.
Ironically, I've tried to think of a better way to do the Nihlus death, and I haven't really come up with much, because you really want this to go a certain way, right? Like, using Nihlus to establish Saren is a fairly obvious example of warp effect. But I still think they could have done it better. Nothing else, you could have done the thing where Saren doesn't think we're worth killing, because we probably aren't, if you're thinking about it. And so imagine if we were with Nihlus. And it's like, oh, it's Saren. Oh, thank God. Oof, and Nihlus is like, this is Saren. We're trying to avoid all spoilers. We have at least a few people in chat who haven't played some of these games. So, usual rules. Spoilers up to where we currently are. Oh yeah, maybe we find the body. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Now you got me thinking. Of course, we can't jump. See, if I'd made a Black Shepherd, I could jump.
Commander.
Yeah, sorry, Cubic. I don't know what I've spoiled. Legitimately, I have no idea what I've spoiled. Mass Effect 3 sucks, but, we'll see. Well, we're gonna find out in a few days, Sean. I swear there was another thing. There it is. Gotta get all that loot. No, the reason I haven't answered anybody's questions is in order to answer somebody's questions, I have to do this. Alright, let's answer people's questions. Let's see. I've got 3 pages of them just queued up right now. Hang on, I have to go murder S.A. Ross really quick, and no, I am not. Alright, let's see. Nemesis says, why do I think there's so many games made after this one that look so much worse graphically? Design. That's it, that's the answer. Lotario says something about Mass Effect 2. Would Femshep have told Tim to go to hell, given the circumstances? Yes, and she actually did when I first played 2, as we'll talk about when we get there. You want to complete Mass Effect 2 before I finish stream, but you won't be able to put a signature. How do you should approach this? You should definitely never watch me ever again. When I first played this, I played on hard, because that was kind of my norm at that time. When this game came out, I was primarily, I was literally in the middle of playing through one of the God of Wars, I forget which one, on hardest difficulty, so I just kind of jumped immediately into that. Oh, I would totally romance Tim if that was an option. No question. But I say Mass Effect is TNG if TNG acknowledged the Starfleet as a military. No, Mass Effect is clearly DS9 because it's Babylon 5. What keeps this game from being in the art category? It sucks terribly and I hate everything about it. If I... hang on. Lotario says... I mean, dude, it's Martin Sheen. Come on. Have you seen that man? Picked this up early in my playthrough. Spectres, yada, yada, yada. Oh, I actually already answered that question. Do you think the Earth in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare could handle a fight with the Turians? No! Is this a guy? I already answered that question. I've actually answered several of these questions. Do I think there's a Mass Effect setting without the Shepard focus? A viable and interesting setting? Yes. Andromeda's failure notwithstanding, we don't have to keep focusing on Shepard. In fact, I hope Shepard doesn't come back in Mass Effect 5, because they're totally going to. Would I be doing Grounded, multiplayer, or solo? Solo, of course. I have no one who is available for 8 hours a day in my schedule. That doesn't work that way. I think the Protheans were always intended to be the way they are, or were they retconned? Given how many times the writers changed their mind across Mass Effect, I would say it's a bit of a retcon. That's a good point, Hazardous. You're absolutely right. Aren't the 6 companions of Mass Effect 1 also the 6 classes? I have no idea, but I believe you if they are. What are my thoughts on FTL? I already answered that one. Question bot, are you okay? How broken would a Spartan from Halo be in this setting? In lore, probably pretty broken. In gameplay, they'd die instantly, because we actually have better shields in gameplay than we do in Halo, because this is an RPG and not a shooter. Was there an explanation? Oh, I already answered that one. Do I consider Mass Effect hard or soft sci-fi? So let me go ahead and start by saying that I don't care. However, I don't mean that as a negative thing. I mean, just the definition doesn't matter to me, right? It's like trying to define something as fantasy or sci-fi. Who cares? However, if you put a gun to my head, or pumpkin, if you put a pumpkin to my head, alright, look, you have to decide. And I'm like, oh god, put down the pumpkin, Evo. And you're like, no, this pumpkin's coming right at you if you don't answer. I'm like, oh god, please, Evo, please, I'm sorry, please, please. And so, under those circumstances, I would say that this is substantially more hard sci-fi than soft, even though it has literal magic in it. Because what this is mostly hard sci-fi with magic to fill in a few gaps here and there, right? Like the very existence of the relays is a good example of something that's there effectively just to make galaxy-wide FTL a thing. If a whale was at my head, oh, I'd be dead. I'd be dead. And yeah, biotics is straight up magic. EZO and how that tends to work. The mass effect that the series is named after is effectively magic. Favorite companion. So I said I'd list 3, and those 3 are Tali, Rex, and Garrus. Oh, I love Liara, don't mistake me, but Tali's my little sister. Garrus is my brother. which is funny if you think about it. Don't think about that too much. And Rex is my bro, right? Like, I got Rex's back, and he's got my back, and all three of them are awesome. So, no, chat said I was going to romance Tali. Oh, right, I said joking that I was going to romance Tali because it's the one character I will never romance in any playthrough of these games. Let's see. If Andraste, that's a long... Oh, God, it actually got formatted wrong. Hang on. So rather than try to read all that out loud, because that's literally formatted wrong, Latario, I'm just going to say yes. What difficulty are playing originally? Hard. And what favorite pizza toppings? Meat. Actual meat, not Italian meat. I hate fennel. I'm one of the fennel people. But, you know, pepperoni, rib meat is my actual personal favorite, but it's very rare. I also happen to like hamburger, you know, stuff like that. And, of course, jalapenos. Gotta have the spice. Spice is necessary. You're making me think about getting pizza now. Let's see here. Is there any pizza places delivering right now? That's a good question. Gotta have the spice. Gotta have the spice. Whoops. Sorry, Nihlus. I was just clicking back into the game because I was all tabbed that whole time. You didn't see that. You didn't see that. Way to be sure. Way to be sure after that incident with Jenkins, you know.
Something's moving over behind those crates.
Wait, don't shoot. I'm one of you. I'm human.
Okay.
What are you doing sneaking around back there?
I am sorry. I was hiding from those creatures. My name's Powell. I saw what happened to that Turian. The other one shot him.
All right, hold up. There's an option that I've already given a negative for that I need to get rid of. And I can do it manually.
You're saying Nihlus was murdered by a Turian?
I'm going to do that.
The other one got here first. He was waiting when your friend showed up. He called him Saren. I think they knew each other. Your friend seemed to relax. He let his guard down. And Saren killed him. Shot him right in the back. I'm just lucky he didn't see me behind the crates.
We were told a Prothean beacon was brought to the spaceport. What happened to it?
It's over on the other platform. Probably where that guy Saren was headed. He hopped on the cargo train right after he killed your friend. I knew that beacon was trouble. Everything's gone to hell since we found it. First that damn mothership showed up, then the attack. They killed everyone. Everyone. If I hadn't been behind the crates, I'd be dead too.
How come you're the only one who survived? Why didn't anyone else try to hide behind the crates?
They never had a chance. I was already behind the crates when the attack started.
Wait a minute. You were hiding behind the crates before the attack?
Sometimes I need a nap to get through my shift. I sneak off behind the crates to grab 40 winks where the supervisor can't find me.
You survived because you're lazy?
Let this be a lesson, everyone. Make sure to always be lazy.
Tell me about this mothership you saw.
I've never seen anything like it before. It was huge. Landed over near that platform. The whole place got dark as it came down. And it was making this noise, this sound that bored right into your brain. That's what woke me up. The attack came a few minutes later.
Tell me about the Geth attack.
It was quick. 1 minute the ship was descending, the next, those Geth were swarming over the platform, thousands of them. They must have been inside that mothership. They shot anything that moved. It was a massacre.
Is there anything else you can tell me about the beacon?
They brought it here this morning. We loaded it up onto the train and shipped it to the other platform. Hard to believe that was only a few hours ago. Feels like a whole other life.
We need to find that beacon before it's too late.
Take the cargo train. That's where the other Turian went. I can't stay here. I need to get away from all this.
At some point, I'm going to figure out how to cast my abilities. So I can actually do something other than shoot in this game. Well, okay. I was hoping for something a little bit more useful than holding down shift. Let's try this. Nope. Ah, here we go. And overload is going to be 1, obviously. Well, since we're using Caden, our one true love. You know, I was playing this game on whatever the hardest difficulty was. This is obviously not my first playthrough. And on this very route right here was the exact moment I discovered that my companions were completely useless in this game on hardest difficulty. Jesus! Did you see that? That guy just lunged! Whew. That's part of why I'm kind of holding back, though, if you're wondering. I'm curious how well they can hold their own without me doing everything. Okay, that's a nice sound. Give me that one. Oh, I have no idea, Zach. Now for the worst gun in the game. God, I hate the Avengers. I mean the Avenger. I hate Avengers. That's probably a better way. Look at this thing. Look at this terrible thing. Ugh. I mean, to this day, Halo 4, specifically Halo 4, has the best sniper sound I've ever heard in a video game ever. That's not an exaggeration. It's amazing. Like, those of you who were there for the Halo 4 run, you probably know what I'm talking about. Whoops. I didn't mean to do that. God, that gun was amazing. Just
set the charges. Destroy the entire colony. Leave no evidence that we were here.
yeah, viscerality. That's what I call that, for good reason. I love how the Geth just happen to keep their guns in the exact same spot as everybody else's. Nothing snapping them there, that's just where they keep them.
Demolition charges. The Geth must have planted them.
Hurry! We need to find them all and shut them down.
I know we've talked about this before. I'm trying to restrain myself from talking about the lore too much because we've already done a lore run. But it's impossible to stream a game without talking about its lore, so what the hell do you want from me? I love the fact that, if not for the extreme coincidences, plural, that led to us being here, Saren would have gotten away with this just scot-free. Land on the colony, take the thing, blow it all up. Council people are like, humanity doesn't know what they're doing, they can't defend their own. Humanity's like, oh my god, what the hell happened? Saren walks away, gets everything, wins. I do love the lore of the heat sink guns, by the way. Personal preference. That'll do. What is the lore behind? That's a good question. Also, you can always tell there's Geth nearby because they're freaking jamming. Now, thankfully, Huthor's not here. Because if he was, he'd tell me how stupid I was for my opinions about Star Wars. But thankfully, that'll never happen.
Combat hard suits use a dual layer.
Looks like I don't actually have it yet. Unless it's here. Nope. Yeah, I don't actually have the thing yet. Once I get it, I'll let it play, because it is fascinating. IMO. Thank you, Huthor. Believe it or not, you're the first one to make that joke today. At least the first one I've seen. Oh, excuse me. Star Trek Armada, you got it. Alright, we're gonna accidentally shoot. Very important. We're gonna not save because we're in combat, right? Right, very important. Have to be in combat. I should let them kill stuff, but whatever. I'm not in combat, game. Please let me save. Please. Please, I'll be your best friend. Hey! Save. Save. Alright, now to exit the game. One moment. So I need to go... Let's see, where are we here? Well, there's an option I want that doesn't exist in the game, even though it is an option for the game. So rather than having an option in the menu I could toggle, I have to manually go to the config file, find gamersettings.ini, and edit it manually, because of course I do. Then I will be able to actually have the option I want. This is known as the Octopath Traveler problem. It's going to be in here and here. There it is. The option is to remove depth of field, aka headache mode. By the way, what you're hearing is the Mass Effect launcher. The third of the launchers I mentioned earlier. Depth of field quite literally gives me headaches, but ignoring that, I also hate it with a fiery passion that burns in my veins.
Normandy, the beacon is secure.
This is amazing. Actual working Prothean technology. Unbelievable.
It wasn't doing anything like that when they dug it up. Something must have activated it.
Roger, Normandy. Standing by.
So Trihexia actually killed the bot this time. Here's a random thought. It could have been Ashley. In fact, it probably should have been Ashley.
Shepard! No, don't touch!
Oh, sorry. Disturbing imagery warning. I completely forgot to even mention that. I forget about it every time I play this game. Also a bit of a flickering warning. Depth of field, by the way, is what makes things in the background blurry. Put it in the most simplest way.
We identified the ship that touched down on Eden Prime. The Normandy, a human alliance vessel. It was under the command of Captain Anderson. They managed to save the colony.
And the beacon.
One of the humans may have used it.
This scene has never made sense to me. Saren just goes full bestial animal here, which is actually kind of out of character for him.
This human must be eliminated.
Dr. Chakwas, I think he's waking up.
You had us worried there, Shepard. How are you feeling?
Like the morning after shore leave. How long was I out?
About 15 hours. Something happened down there with the beacon, I think.
It's my fault. I must have triggered some kind of security field when I approached it. You had to push me out of the way.
Where's the beacon now? What happened to it?
The beacon exploded. A system overload, maybe. The blast knocked you cold. The lieutenant and I carried you back here to the ship.
I appreciate it.
Physically, you're fine. But I detected some unusual brain activity. Abnormal beta waves. I also noticed an increase in your rapid eye movement. Signs typically associated with intense dreaming.
I saw... I'm not sure what I saw. Death? Destruction? Nothing's really clear.
I better add this to my report. It may... Oh, Captain Anderson.
How's our XO holding up, Doctor?
Well, all the readings look normal. I'd say the commander's going to be fine.
Glad to hear it. Shepard, I need to speak with you. In private.
Aye, Captain. I'll be in the mess if you need me.
Sounds like that beacon hit you pretty hard, Commander. Are you sure you're okay?
I don't like soldiers dying under my command.
Jenkins wasn't your fault. You did a good job, Shepard.
There was no saving him. Literally, it was physically impossible.
Chief Williams isn't part of the Normandy crew.
I figured we could use a soldier like her. She's been reassigned to the Normandy.
Williams is a good soldier. She deserves it.
Lieutenant Alenko agrees with you. That's why I added her to our crew.
You said you needed to see me in private, Captain?
I won't lie to you, Shepard. Things look bad. Nihlus is dead. The beacon was destroyed and Geth are invading. The Council's going to want answers.
I do, in fact, have green eyes in real life, although generally speaking, you wouldn't be able to tell unless you saw me in sunlight. Or up close. They're not as green as I'd like them to be. But you get me in proper sunlight, and that is almost exactly what my eyes look like right there.
I didn't do anything wrong, Captain. Hopefully the Council can see that.
I'll stand behind you and your report, Shepard. You're a damned hero in my books. That's not why I'm here. It's Saren, that other Turian. Saren's a Spectre, one of the best, a living legend. But if he's working with the Geth, it means he's gone rogue. A rogue Spectre's trouble. Saren's dangerous, and he hates humans.
Why?
He thinks we're growing too fast, taking over the galaxy. A lot of aliens think that way. Most of them don't do anything about it. But Saren has allied himself with the Geth. I don't know how, I don't know why. I only know it had something to do with that beacon. You were there just before that beacon self-destructed. Did you see anything? Any clue that might tell us what Saren was after?
Just before I lost consciousness, I had some kind of vision.
A vision? A vision of what?
I saw synthetics. Geth, maybe. Slaughtering people. Butchering them.
We need to report this to the Council, Shepard.
What are we gonna tell them? I had a bad dream?
We don't know what information was stored in that beacon. Lost Prothean technology? Blueprints for some ancient weapon of mass destruction? Whatever it was. Saren took it. But I know Saren. I know his reputation is politics. He believes humans are a blight on the galaxy. This attack was an act of war. He has the secrets from the beacon. He has an army of Geth at his command, and he won't stop until he's wiped humanity from the face of the galaxy.
I'll find some way to take him down.
It's not that easy. He's a Spectre. He can go anywhere, do almost anything. That's why we need the Council on our side.
We prove Saren's gone rogue, and the Council will revoke his Spectre status.
I'll contact the Ambassador and see if he can get us an audience with the Council. He'll want to see us as soon as we reach the Citadel. We should be getting close. Head up to the bridge and tell Joker to bring us into dock.
Listen, new nations getting tons and tons of influence very quickly is never a cause for concern. Especially when they're named Germany. Alright, so.
Hey, Commander. I'm glad you're okay, Commander. The crew could use some good news after what happened to Jenkins.
Jenkins was a valuable part of this crew.
Part of me feels guilty over what happened. If Jenkins was still alive, I might not be here.
You're a good soldier, Williams. You belong on the Normandy.
Thanks, Commander. That means a lot from you. I've never met anyone who was awarded the Star of Terra.
Things were pretty rough down there. Are you okay?
I've seen friends die before. Comes with being a Marine. But to see my whole unit wiped out, and you never get used to seeing dead civilians. But things would have been a lot worse if you hadn't shown up.
We couldn't have done it without you, Williams.
Thanks, Commander. I have to admit, I was a little worried about being assigned to the Normandy. It's nice when someone makes you feel welcome.
Yeah, I was joking earlier, but we should totally romance her.
I think you're gonna fit in here just fine, Williams.
Thanks, Commander.
We should totally romance her.
Yes, Commander? Is that something you need?
How did you end up serving on an Alliance ship?
I enlisted right out of med school. Earth always seemed boring to me. Too safe, too secure. I figured the colonies were teeming with exotic adventure. I wanted to travel the stars, tending the wounds of tough soldiers with piercing eyes and sensitive souls. Turns out military life isn't quite as romantic as I'd imagined. But humanity needs the Alliance if we want to keep expanding through the Traverse, and the Alliance always needs good doctors. So I stayed on to do my part.
Ever think you made the wrong choice?
Sometimes I think about opening a private practice back on Earth, or maybe taking a position at one of the new med centers out in the colonies. But there's something special about working on soldiers. If I left the Alliance now, I'd feel like I was abandoning them.
What do you know about Captain Anderson?
I've served with him for a few tours now. He knows when to let things slide and when to crack the whip. The crew knows he's seen pretty much anything they'll ever run into. And he cares about the people under his command.
How well do you know the lieutenant?
I'd never worked with him before this mission. But he has an impressive service record, over a dozen special commendations. Tends to keep to himself, though. Maybe because of the headaches. It's not easy being an L2.
What does that have to do with it?
Well, most biotics now use the L3 implants. Lieutenant Alenko was wired with the old L2 configuration. Sometimes there are complications.
What kind of complications?
Severe mental disabilities, insanity, crippling physical pain. There's a long list of horrific side effects. Caden's lucky. He just gets migraines.
I would disagree with that sentence, but whatever.
I should go.
Goodbye, Commander.
I should go.
Glad to see you're okay, Commander.
Make love to me, Caden. Oh, sorry. Ooh, got distracted there. I just seeing Karth like that. I couldn't hold myself back. I mean, I suppose it depends on your definition of migraines, but I've had migraines which are absolutely crippling physical pain, yes.
Go speak to Joker when you're ready. Tell him to bring the Normandy into dock.
My overall point, though, is that it really sucks that he has to deal with migraines as a result of being a mage. A friend of mine actually took that idea and kind of ran with it a little bit. He was wondering, what if the consequence of being, a mage in a more typical magical setting was something like that, right? Every time you cast, it just gives you that kind of a migraine that lasts for days. And that's just, yeah. No, thank you. But thank you, DZ Maven. Always appreciate. And if you want to put that towards something, please let me know. Some of you may not remember that 2 weeks ago, I actually had a migraine that lasted about 3 days on stream. I was still streaming as best as I could. That was not pleasant, but I did it. When you get used to it, no, you do not get used to migraines. It doesn't work that way. On day 3, I was so nauseous I couldn't even bow when people were donating. But anyways, positive commentary. Hey, Presley, you still hate aliens?
I'm glad you're okay, Commander. Losing Jenkins was hard enough on the crew.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me. Some of the audios, just... Let's see if we can fix this a little bit. Poor Jenkins. He was the best of us. Whatever his damn name was.
Good timing, Commander. I was just about to bring us into the Citadel. See that taxpayer money at work.
One thing I'll always give BioWare credit for, they come up with cool ideas. Don't always execute them well, but some very cool ideas. And the Citadel is one of them. IMO.
Look at the size of that ship.
The Ascension, flagship of the Citadel fleet.
Well, size isn't everything.
Why so touchy, Joker?
I'm just saying you need firepower too.
Look at that monster. Its main gun could rip through the barriers in any ship in the Alliance fleet.
Good thing it's on our side, then.
Citadel Control, this is SSV Normandy, requesting permission to land.
Stand by for clearance, Normandy. Clearance granted. You may begin your approach.
Small but interesting world-building point. There's actually a home fleet here. Did you notice that?
Normandy, this is Alliance Tower. Please proceed to Dock 422.
Almost all Turian ships, too. Unlike, say, every Star Trek movie ever where, you know, the Enterprise is the only ship in range of Earth, there's always a home defense fleet around the Citadel. I appreciate little stuff like that. There's a lot of little stuff like that. I like it. Ah, that was abrupt.
This is an outrage!
Hi,
Council
Udina.
would step in if the Geth attacked a Turian colony?
The Turians don't found colonies on the borders of the Terminus systems, Ambassador.
Humanity was well aware of the risks when you went into the Traverse.
What about Saren? You can't just ignore a rogue Spectre. I demand action!
You don't get to make demands of the Council, Ambassador.
Citadel Security is investigating your charges against Saren. We will discuss the CSEC findings at the hearing, not before.
Captain Anderson, I see you brought half your crew with you.
Just the ground team from Eden Prime, in case you had any questions.
I have the mission reports. I assume they're accurate?
They are. Sounds like you convinced the Council to give us an audience.
They were not happy about it. Saren's their top agent. They don't like him being accused of treason.
Saren's a threat to every human colony out there. He needs to be stopped. The Council has to listen to us.
Settle down, Commander. You've already done more than enough to jeopardize your candidacy for the Spectres. The mission on Eden Prime was a chance to prove you could get the job done. Instead, Nihlus ended up dead and the beacon was destroyed.
That's Saren's fault, not his.
Then we better hope the CSEC investigation turns up evidence to support our accusations. Otherwise, the Council might use this as an excuse to keep you out of the Spectres. Come with me, Captain. I want to go over a few things before the hearing. Shepard, you and the others can meet us at the Citadel Tower, top level. I'll make sure you have clearance to get in.
And that's why I hate politicians.
Thank you, Ashley. We're trying to avoid them, Ventures. We've slipped a couple of times. Apparently I've slipped too, but we're trying to do the point we're at and before approach, which honestly we normally do. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to stare at Caden's ass, although it's an amazing ass. What I'm actually trying to do is look up there. God, that's gorgeous. You know the best part? So we actually have two separate categories for what is effectively visuals under story. Here's one. There it is. And one of them is visual storytelling and one of them is brickwork. Visual storytelling is when something about the visuals of the background or whatever help tell a story. They help to actually add to the lore and the details and all that. Brickwork is just something that adds to the ambiance, flavor, tone, atmosphere, and vibe. It doesn't actually tell anything. It's just there to look good and add to the overall feel of a moment. The reason I bring this up is it's actually very rare that we give a plus for both visual storytelling and brickwork for the same thing. But I think the Citadel qualifies. What do you all think? Sorry, Tara. Although, I'm not sorry at all, because that's the whole goal. If I get, like, one person to laugh, then those are worth it. Because you get it, right? Like, there's so much is being told. We see the hovercraft. We see the way it curves up in the distance. We get the impressions of the layers of it and how it works that way. We've got the artificial sky to maintain it. And, of course, there's greenery all over the place, which is probably very heavily maintained by the internal environmental systems to make this place look this things. And yeah, exactly. When we get to things like the Presidium and the wards and the contrast between the two. Visual storytelling. I agree with that, Blue Helix. And then, obviously, even ignoring the story that's being told, the lore that's being shared, just the visuals of it are gorgeous. And yeah, there's... Mass Effect 3, ironically, is probably the best with showcasing the Citadel in the background. It's one of the things I really liked about Mass Effect 3. Because you could look over the ledge like this and just see tons of stuff going on in the background. And yeah, it's just kind of cool. It's an interesting concept. So, cool stuff. All kinds of cool stuff. Captain Hendrickson reported unusual energy readings during a patrol of the Argus Rho cluster. Particularly concerned about the Hydra system. Well, hopefully that quest is something we can do later. Gotta get the side quests. Okay. Oh, absolutely, Baron. But then again, I've been inspired by everything. I don't have an ass either. Look at this, just like in real life. Alright, so... before we talk to the greatest Elcor of all time... Okay. Am I the only person who, without joking or memeing, would pay to watch, like, a play, like a Shakespearean-type play, performed by Elcors? Real question. Because I think that would be awesome. Probably only, like, one. You know, I'd probably overstay its welcome, but I would still want to see Elcor Hamlet. I'm just saying. Well, that's insanity, Lothario. That's my answer to that. To be or not... Oh, dude! Oh, Platonia's got an even better one. WWE wrestling promos done by Elcor. Just... yeah. Anyways. Think about that, right? With resounding enthusiasm, and in this corner... the master of disaster. The man with the plan. Alliterative statement. Can you smell what the rock is cooking? Oh man, I'd watch the crap out of that. At least a little bit. It would outweigh its welcome. All such things do. But I'd still watch that. So when I start my wrestling career, after I take over the world, I should totally do that as my gimmick. Right? Like, that'll be my shtick, right? I'll be an Elcor. Just walk out with resounding overconfidence. No one is going to take the belt from me tonight. Innocent. Are you ready to rumble? Okay, I'm done. Oh my gosh. That would be good. That would be good. Oh, Jesus. Hang on, Hasdus. I need to mute this. Mute. Okay, there we go. Still muting time. If it's not obvious, the reason I'm just standing here is we're only 10 minutes to cutoff point anyways. And I'm trying to codify some positives and negatives from now. So let's see here. Blasto doing any Clint Eastwood dialogue ever. Yes, I did, Evo. You asked me about a tourist place and other places I can't remember right now. But I have thought about tourist places. I have thought about architecture, too. Because I like building things. Whoops. Well, we're not at the door puzzle system yet, although I should probably write that down at some point. Just need to play more Factorio, Evo. You'll get it. You'll get it. I need to get back to City Builders. I haven't played a City Builder in forever. Okay. I am going to codify the Nihlus positive, I think. And a negative for Jenkins. I'm joking. One of the interesting things about Shepard is sorry, my Shepard's a she, so, they're dumb. It's just, you know, like, I don't even mean that as an insult. We play a brick, and the amount to which that's on screen kind of varies, I've noticed. Even within an individual game, sometimes we're far more clever or thoughtful or wise, and other times we're just a brick. I really noticed this when we did the lore run 8 years ago. Because it's just like, hi! I could pull it up right now. Hang on. Mass Effect lore run. 8 years ago. It's been 8 years since we did the Emmy lore run. How's that for a wild thought? I was in my 30s 8 years ago. Well, that was part of the thing for you, is we never reviewed Mass Effect. But that was kind of on purpose. Some of you know that I tend to plan these things out well in advance. And once we started doing the reviews in general, I knew that we would have to spend an uncertain amount of time just reviewing games to codify the system, right? To figure out how to review what and where. All those little nuances, all those little case laws, all the little perspectives that's all necessary to make the reviews what they are now, after the Oblivion line. So, while there's a few games I allowed before the line, I always kind of wanted to push Mass Effect past it. Because I always wanted to review Mass Effect after the Oblivion line. So here we are. If I'd been a little bit more on the schedule, we could have done this, I guess about 2 months ago at this point. Yeah, I've also done 6 rooms for Mass Effect, which is good because it means I will not have to do a room this time. I don't know off the top of my head. Which one's Sentinel? Hang on, which one's Sentinel? Are you a Sentinel? You're a Sentinel. So that's Biotics and Engineer. Right. Right. No, Oblivion kind of coincidentally into the game that became the Oblivion line. Yeah, the FFs are... I was really hesitant to review the FFs before, but at the same time, I knew they would have to be reviewed before, because they're just such endemic RPGs, right? Like, I don't know about you guys, when I think JRPGs, I think of the Final Fantasies. And so we had to review the Final Fantasies before the Oblivion line to establish how we review JRPGs. We actually established several precedents in those runs, if you remember. We figured out how we're going to do with bonus series stuff and bonus optional content and qualify that. And we also talked a lot about leveling systems, quality of life features was something that came up during the FF runs. All sorts of stuff. No, Triexia. Who would ever take that deal? God. Anyway, sorry. So then we've got... the FF6 perspective run was a very long time ago, and that was literally a, hi, I've just been through one of the worst things in my entire life. I need to chill for a little bit. Let's play FF6, and that's what that was. We also played FF4 and Chrono Trigger right after that, if you're remembering historically. Because, again, I just needed to recover mentally. So, Adepts the Mage. Vanguard is that. So, what the hell's Infiltrator? Infiltrator is... Right, okay. Well, you see, Rama. You'll forgive me if I don't answer you, McPoindexter. I have trouble talking about it. Oh god, that was such a good scene, Paranoid. Oh man, I died. Hang on, you know what we really need? Hang on. There we go. This is just for you, Tara. There we go. Soldier, Karth, I'm gonna need you to work that, or I'm gonna shoot it. You know what's funny? Nobody has an ass in this game. No offense, Ashley, but look, there's no asses here. There are 0 asses in this game. We need more sex appeal. Don't worry, we'll get way too much of that in the next game. Way too much of that. Okay, so I think that's everything except for that. Listen, Garrus is just sexy, alright. Like, the way his mandibles just kind of arc down at the perfect angle, just... Hold on, I need to actually look at the screen to tell what I'm talking about here. Does she Gum? That's funny. I mean, I don't blame her. I mean, I'm obviously joking. Well, joking around. But Garrus is, like, probably one of the most marryable characters in this freaking franchise. He is so dependable and capable and reliable and kind and considerate and competent. Like, seriously. I'm not into guys, personally, But even I would think about marrying Garrus, just, you know. He's also very not racist, that's true. See you around, Ponka. Alright. So I wasn't just sitting around because I was codifying, although I was doing that. Let's go ahead and get all this stuff on the HUD. Listen, I don't like this game. This game sucks. This is the worst game ever made. Ignore how many pluses I've given. The intro. But, let's talk about something. Blue If Alex mentioned this, and this is something that needs to be mentioned. Hang on, let's try to get like a group shot here. Screw the group shot. Let's just get a shot over here. Udina is a very typical BioWare character. We've actually talked about this a lot in virtually every BioWare game we've played, including the game we just finished playing. They're the obstinate bureaucrat. It's an archetype that certainly comes from a lot of fiction, including Star Trek. But BioWare games all love having the obstinate bureaucrat. And they're pretty much designed to be just a hate sink. Not a hate sink as in they're super horrifically awful evil. A hate sink in the fact that they're irritating. And you know what I mean. You could probably name one, the obstructive bureaucrat is the other one. So the difference is the obstinate bureaucrat is in the way. The obstructive bureaucrat is effectively evil. They're trying to actively subvert and remove you. They're usually actually villains. Yeah, like that frickin' King of Onderon, perfect example. Although he was at least funny. So, Udina is a bit of a hate sink character and a bit of an irritating character, and I don't want to spoil future games. Let's just look at it right here and right now. Because looking at, even just in Mass Effect 1, I feel like he isn't a good character. He's well acted. The actor's actually a good actor. I'll give him credits on that. But he is too rude, too obstructive, too not an ambassador. I look at this guy and I think, how did you ever get this job? More importantly, how did you ever keep this job? There is a difference between someone who is an asshole, which is what Udina is, and someone who is firm. You know what I mean? Because one of the things, and I've heard this said before by players too, but one of the things that's mentioned in-game is that Udina is the way he is because he's trying to be pro-human. He's trying to push the human agenda. But again, there's a difference between someone who is firm, someone who knows how to be aggressive in negotiations, and someone who's an asshole. To be perfectly blunt, Anderson is better at this entire thing that I'm just mentioning right now in every way. He actually knows how to be diplomatic, and he knows how to be hard. He knows how to throw up the wall, and he knows how to be an aggressive negotiator. He also knows how not to be a cruel, irritating dick to everyone around him. And let's keep in mind that, and this is important too, even ignoring that the way that he treats the council, by the way, yelling at the council over that, making demands of the council. If there's anything that's going to guarantee you don't get it, it's that, Udina, you incompetent boob. But they also decided to just try and make a point of how, whiny child's a great way to put that, how whiny he is, how much of a snothead he is. Because he walks over, and we're right here on this very railing. Ashley's right there, Caden's right there, Anderson's right there, and he says, "You must have brought half your crew," because being a sarcastic dick is the right thing to do in this situation. And so Anderson says, politely and diplomatically, "I thought it might be worthwhile to have the ground team on hand if you had any questions." Which, by the way, is the correct move for Anderson to make. Udina then says, I already have the written reports. I trust they're accurate. Just throwing dirt, metaphorically, right in the player's face in the first scene we ever meet this guy. You get my point? He is a one-note character, and they don't even do it properly. And you notice how I'm saying this within the first scene we've seen him. He doesn't... I'm just going to spoil this. He never gets better. Udina never gets better. He is always a dick. So, it is my opinion that Udina actually deserves a negative. Not just for the fact that he is abrasive to the point where he detracts from the story, but also for the fact that he honestly shouldn't even be here. He serves no purpose other than to be the typical BioWare obstinate bureaucrat. Yeah, you know what? That's a great point, Plutonia. Al-Jilani, which I'm probably pronouncing terribly, is a much better example of how to do an annoying character. Granted, she doesn't have as much screen time, but she is nevertheless a better presented character than he is. And again, that's even true in one scene. The Council we'll discuss later. I want to discuss the Council more once we've had more exposure to them. So, thoughts? Like questions? Comments? Garrus is totally Renegade. Garrus is the face of the Renegade, Lothario, absolutely. Right now I'm thinking two separate negatives, by the way. One specifically for the fact that he's an aggravation. Oh, look, the cars are frozen. And then one for the fact that he's not a well-constructed character. The more I talk this out, the more I'm thinking I agree with myself here. Oh, Garrus is totally chaotic good. He actively avoids order and structure, and he actively seeks good. He is the definition of chaotic good. Yeah, I'll type up my thoughts now, and we'll italicize them, and we'll see what we think of it as we go. Yeah, exactly, Kira White Noise. I mean, that's going to be our opening thing when we first talk to him here. I love this. The trees are moving, but nothing else is. This is such a weird thing. Is the water fountain moving? Oh, it is. You're right. Yep. The water fountain is moving. I didn't even see that. So we'll leave those in italicized for a moment. It's when I alt-tab. Here, watch. I tab back in, I tab out. Tab back in, tab out. See? That's what's doing it. That's a weird thing, by the way. Half the game freezes. The rest of the game doesn't when I alt-tab. That is very strange. Alright. So, I think that's everything for now. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to go through the Mass Effects. I hope you are. Tomorrow, at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will spend the entire day roaming around the Citadel.